Hello there. Today I'm going to demonstrate how I manually balance a grinding wheel. I know other people may have other methods, but I'm going to demonstrate how I do it. Um, so as you can see here, I got my setup. My balancing stands are set up on a surface plate. Today I'll be balancing a 14-inch wheel, aluminum oxide wheel. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and remove my wheel. Just make sure that my balancing arbor and my wheel hub is clean and set properly. And now I'll place my wheel back on the balancing stand. Next step, I'm going to remove my balancing weights along the hub. Be careful taking these balancing weights out. As you can see, if you loosen the set screw too much, it has a locking bearing inside that can easily fall out the back side. You can easily lose that. So you want to make sure you don't loosen that set screw too much. It'd be really easy to lose those bearings. So you just want to loosen it enough to get the weight out. There. Now that I got all three weights out, what I'm going to do is kind of free spin my wheel, and what's going to happen is that the heavy side should settle at the bottom. So I'm just going to give it kind of a free spin and let the gravity find the heavy point of my wheel hub. So I'm going to move it just a little bit, just make sure it is my absolute heavy point. See where it teeters back. So it seems to have come to a stop here, which is where it's telling me where my heavy point is. So now my heavy point sits at the bottom of my wheel hub here, and directly across 180 degrees at 12 o'clock, I'm going to set one balancing weight just to distribute the weight across. But not even. So I'll tighten that weight in, that'll be my first weight. Now I'm going to rotate my wheel so that about halfway, so that my weight can settle at the bottom on its own. So again, the weight will come to the bottom, it'll teeter until it finds its heavy point, and then it settles in. Then it'll come to a stop like it has now. Next up, I'm going to place the remaining two weights 180 degrees across from my heavy point, but I'm going to put a gap between them. So there's going to be a space between the two weights, but they'll be even from the center. Now, I don't know if you can see this in the camera, but my wheel hub has an actual scale on it, so it's pretty easy for me to reference where I'm putting my weights. However, some wheel hubs do not have this feature, so a lot of times I like to use a Sharpie to kind of just mark where my heavy points are and where I'm starting my weights. It helps me to evenly distribute the weights as I'm moving them along. I know where I started from. So in this case, like I said, I'm going to place the weights 180 degrees across, but with a gap between the two weights evenly. So I'm gonna start right about here. So they're evenly gapped from the center at 12 o'clock. So now it should remain the way it is now. You can see that the wheel is not moving left or right. The weight's been kind of evenly distributed across the top and the bottom. If it does tend to move either left or right, you can adjust one or the other weights until it's steady. This way you have your kind of absolute center. But right now, as you can see, mine is steady, so I think I'm free to move on. So the next step is, what we're going to do is check the balance of the wheel. And if the wheel is balanced, I can place the wheel at any point. I can move it 45 degrees, 90 degrees. And every point that I turn it, it should stay steady there and not continue to rotate. As you can see, I can move this just about 45 degrees, and you'll see that the weight's pulling one side down. So we know that my wheel is still not balanced. So I'm going to bring this back up to 12 o'clock. I'm going to evenly move my weights, separate the two weights apart from each other evenly. So I'm going to move this one to the left. And move this one to the right the same distance. And then again, I'm going to check to see if my balance. As you can see, it's still not balanced. Still rotating. I should be able to stop the wheel anywhere and it will not rotate at all. So again, I'm going to go back to 12 o'clock. I'm going to move these another equal distance apart. I'm going to check my weights again. Check my balance again. Seems to still be rotating, but it's getting a little slower. I've got to make some more adjustments. So we'll move back to 12 o'clock, but this time I'm gonna adjust it a little bit less. Check my balance. Seems to still be rotating a little bit. So let's do it again. 12 o'clock. Bumping these out a little bit more. Seems kind of good. So I'm going to rotate it the other way. Seems steady. There it goes. It's starting to get a roll. Seems I need to adjust it more. So now it looks pretty steady. So I'm going to check it about 45 degrees, rotating the wheel every 45 degrees or so and stopping it to make sure we don't get too much rotation. There you go. Just about everywhere I stop the wheel, I get almost no movement or no movement at all, which tells me that the wheel is pretty well balanced. And that is how I balance the wheel. Thank you.